Hey everybody out there in YouTube land. My name is Shard. This is Deep Diver 5, episode I think 7? 7. Could be wrong. I should really check these things before I start a video, huh? Bit of pre-planning would be nice. I'm going to go through 5 CDs today. Something different about these ones, ever so slightly, is I bought these. I bought these recently. I was at the local Vinnie's, St. Vincent de Paul Society op shop in Springwood a few weeks ago, and they had, I think I mentioned in a previous episode, they had a bunch of like rock and metal CDs, like quite a substantial collection. I think I mentioned one last week, the Anthrax one, Stomp 442. Found a copy of that, which is great because for some reason it's not on streaming. Not that we need streaming, do we? You will own nothing and be happy. No. But yeah, I'm looking more and more at CDs these days. Just seeing what's out there. And when a big collection like that, a very big, very personalized, very narrow scope of collection comes out there, man, you got to go through it because there's a lot of stuff to sift through generally. But when you see a massive rock and metal collection, you gotta jump on that. This one guy jumped on it before me. I walked in and I was just like, oh, what are these? And I saw a guy with a stack of CDs like that high. He spent like $75 on CDs, and I was just like, I just wanted to have a look what you're getting, mate. But I went through the boxes, and I got a few CDs. So I'm gonna go through some of these right now on my nice clean coffee table. If any of you have kids out there, do you know what oobleck is? I made my daughter some oobleck last night and immediately regretted it. Oobleck, for those of you who don't know, in basic science lesson here, oobleck is corn flour and water mixed to a certain ratio, and it becomes like an easy to make slime. And relatively easy to clean up, which is good because corn flour, like, it's a thickening agent in cooking, and you put in a bunch of corn flour and a relatively small amount of water, and it turns into slime, but it also acts as a solid as well, so it's like a liquid and a solid. So it's really cool for kids to kind of muck around with and play around with, and like the scientific kind of thing. And I made her some, and it was all over this table. There's bits on the floor, but it's good because, like, if you're a parent out there and you're like, spending money on slime, like all that kind of stuff, just make them some oobleck, man. It falls on the carpet, that's fine. It dries, it turns back into corn flour, so then you just vacuum it up. Same as on the table. This could be covered with oobleck. All it takes is a few wipes with a wet towel. Boom, it's back, it's gone. It doesn't stain anything, doesn't stick to anything. Just let it dry, and Bob is your proverbial uncle. Alright, I just mentioned that because I just cleaned a bunch of oobleck off here. Oh, man. Alright, let's hit it. Deep Diver 5, Volume 7, I think. Let's start with this one from 2010. This is The Sword, Warp Riders, a concept album from 2010 from The Sword. I think this is like their second or third album. The Sword are like, if you like your rock, if you like your metal old school, if you like the Sabbathy kind of that kind of thing, 70s influenced and infused, The Sword should be a go-to for you. This is a great album. It's a really cool concept album, all based around a story that the lead singer, lyric writer, came up with, and it's kind of, I wouldn't say, doesn't sound like Coheed and Cambria, but it's like got that kind of whole big sci-fi epic scope kind of storytelling to it, if you want to get into it that way. It's very Sabbathy. I listened to it the other day. I'm sure I heard this years and years ago. Back when I was DJing on community radio, I'm sure I got into The Sword for a bit. But I never, like, the CD popped out at me. I was just like, wow, okay, I'm going to grab this one because I remember liking the sword. And hey, man, I still like the sword. Good album. Makes me want to get into their later stuff and earlier stuff. Big, big, chunky, soggy riffs. Really good singing, like more kind of like classic metal singing, like Aussie kind of thing. But you know, these guys kind of forged their own path too, and it's a really good album. I highly recommend it if you like your metal old school. You know. What else have I got? All right, I got 4 more. All right, the Mars Volta. This is Noctourniquet. From when was this from? Oh god, I can barely read these days. I think it's like 2012 or something. Noctourniquet, all rights reserved. Yeah, 2012. I was right. Noctourniquet, the Mars Volta. I've had a long and complicated history with the Mars Volta. I loved Deloused in the Comatorium. I was into At the Drive-In a little bit, and then Deloused came out, and I was just like, this is awesome. Francis the Mute came out, which I got, and I tried really hard to love that album. I probably tried a little bit too much because at the time it didn't really grab me, but it has definitely grown on me in the preceding years. I got like the Bedlam and Goliath, and the one before that. Again, kind of leaving me a little bit cold. Just a little bit too proggy, a little bit too loose. Yeah, I guess it was coming in like the 2010s, like when things started really speeding up, and you didn't really have time to sit down and listen to an album. Well, you told yourself that anyway. You totally did. It was just like that's when like social media distraction, like screen addiction, really started ramping up, and the whole idea of sitting down listening to albums, Spotify, of course, just started getting too much effort when you could go out there and alter your consciousness in various ways and distract yourself in even more various ways. So Noctourniquet, I never got this album. I think I downloaded it at some point back in the day, but I never really listened to it. I chucked it on the other day. I really liked it. A really good album. It's got songs. It's got structure. It took them a long time to make this one. I think it was like 2 or 3 years preceding, and according to reports, they were all just kind of like, dude, we just got to get this album out. Standout track for me is Vita Melody. I really like that track. It's just, yeah, it's like songs back on this one. It's not all just some kind of just, it's, the weirdness is there. Like it's still the strangeness is there, and Omar, his guitar kind of takes a little bit of a back seat, his guitar weirdness. But it's still there and it's still cool, and I really like this album. If you haven't heard any Mars Volta, I would say it's probably not the best place to start. I would say Deloused in the Comatorium. Start with Deloused and go from there. But this is a really good, quite accessible album from them. Yeah, I quite liked it. This is a double. I've already got a copy of this, but I saw it in the collection. I was just like, I have to have this anyway because I was just like, do I have that? I'm pretty sure I have that, but if I don't, I may as well spend $3 and get it again. Neurosis, Through Silver in Blood. This is from 1996. It's a Relapse Records imprint. It's slightly different from the one I have, which is interesting. The other version I have is different record label. For some reason, they did change around about then. They did start their Neurosis started their Tribes of Neurot imprint, and I think most of them have been re-released under that now. Neurosis, I've got a long and loving history with this band. I remember I got Enemy of the Sun in 1996 or 1995. That came out in 94. Enemy of the Sun, I was a metalhead back then, man, and I listened to Enemy of the Sun, and it changed me. That album, still, just you know, it blew my doors of perception open as to what metal is. Then this one came out, and just kind of ramped it up a few more notches. This is a great album too. It's got some like just absolutely pummeling tracks on it. Locust Star was on an Ozfest compilation, a live version of it, and that was just still gives me goosebumps, man. I just can't it's crazy. Purify is really good. I is a really good song. This is a top notch album. Neurosis started back in the 80s as a punk band, and you could tell from early on that they had ideas of where they wanted to go. And Souls at Zero came out, I think that was 92 or 91, and that was just like, these guys are trying to do something different. Enemy at the Sun came out, and it was just like, wow, these guys are doing something different. Through Silver and Blood came out, it was just like, dude, more. Give us more. More. Times of Grace came out, and that's, I think Through Silver and Blood and Times of Grace are just them crystallizing into this kind of post-metal sludge doom, just goddamn powerhouse. And I love Enemy of the Sun. Still, I think that's the one that started it all for me. But Through Silver and Blood and Times of Grace, like I said, was when everything started really coming together, and Neurosis, their confidence was just like, boom, right, this is where we're going, and we're going to bring you guys along, and we're going to destroy your eardrums in the process. And just amazing songs. Not for the faint of heart. They're not short, sharp songs. A lot of them are just like mini epics, like 10, 11 minutes long at least. Slow builds, crushing guitars. I saw them live when they came over to Sydney. Oh, it would have been a good maybe 10 years ago now. Easily one of my top gigs of all time, easily. Neurosis kind of stopped. I don't know what they're doing now. They haven't released anything in a long time now. They had a major falling out with one of their founders, Scott Kelly. If you want to read a little bit about that online, it's all, it wasn't good, no way. But since then, since they kicked Scott Kelly out, nothing's really been happening with Neurosis. I think they're all getting older. I think they're all getting sick of touring. Recording, I don't know what they're doing with recording. Steve Von Till, the other lyricist and guitar player, has kept up his solo output, which is really good. I think it's Steve Von Till, and I think is he the Hangman or something like that. I can't remember, but he's done a bunch of albums, really kind of good acoustic Southern Gothic Americana stuff, which is really interesting. And I really dig a few of his albums that I've listened to. But yeah, Neurosis, man, Through Silver and Blood. If you ever see this out in the op shops, get it. If you've never listened to it, get it. Put it on in the car on the way home. No, better yet, put it on when you get home, and just crank it, man, crank it. It is just like one of the best '90s post-rock, post-metal sludge doom albums of all time, easily. What else we got? I was surprised to find this. I was very surprised to find this. Cynic, Kindly Bent to Free Us. This came out in 2025. Cynic, again, like Neurosis, I fell in absolute love with Cynic back in the 90s. They released Focus in 1993, and then there was nothing until 2008 with Traced in Air. And this one came relatively quickly after 2012. Kindly Bent to Free Us. Look, they're still a metal prog band. This one but I hasten to put just like such rigid labels on a band like Cynic. This one gets way more jazzy, way more proggy. I mean, Traced in Air was already kind of going that way. But this one just kind of goes up a little bit more jazzy, proggy, and just a really good album. The production is amazing. The musicianship on display is stunning. This was the last album that had the classic lineup: Paul Masvidal, Sean Reinhart, and Sean Malone. Three-piece on this, and they're just stunning. A lot of tragedy has kind of stalked this band since this album. Sean Malone and Sean Reinhart have both passed along, which is really sad because, man, they were fantastic players, and I'm sure they were great humans too. But this really good kind of last testament to them is just like this really rock solid jazz metal prog album from Cynic, kind of meant to free us. Check out The Lion's Roar. The title track is really good. Just, oh man, it lifts your soul, this album. And despite being a metal album, which a lot of people think, oh, metal just makes you depressed. No way, dude. No way. You have no idea what you're talking about. This is a good album, man. Really good. Really good. Still sounds fresh. Still sounds like it could have been made yesterday. Just crisp, chunky, awesome riffs, great sensibilities. Yeah, Cynic. Love you, Cynic. Love you. Last today, Death, Human, from 1992. This is, or 1991. Hold on. I really need reading glasses, man. Do I look so old to young eyes? This is from the Relativity label. Again, these guys have ties to Cynic because who was in here? Paul Masvidal was on guitar, and I think it was Sean Reinhart on drums. So it had a couple of fantastic players on here. Also Steve DiGiorgio on bass, which is, I think was the only album he did with these guys. I could be wrong. And of course the immortal Chuck Schuldiner on guitar, lyrics, and singing. If you haven't heard Death and you're a metal fan, what are you doing? Get out of here. Go and listen to them. If you haven't heard of Death were a band started back in the 80s. When you think death metal, I'm talking to all the non-metal heads out here. When you think death metal, Death pretty much kind of started it. They even had the name Death. You know, well, they had the name. They started it. They started death metal. They took thrash, they took speed metal, that is, and just kind of Schuldiner just like had his own thing going, and he rolled with it. The first few albums still very much firmly rooted in that 80s thrash speed, but like, he was slowly he was evolving. Human came out and just like blew the doors off everything in terms of metal. Like, it was 1991, hair metal was out, grunge was in, death metal and metal in general was in this weird kind of holding state. You had Metallica come out with a Black album, Megadeth still doing their own thing, Slayer still doing their own thing, but in terms of direction, Death really forged ahead with a new direction for metal and extreme metal and death metal in general. And he had the killer lineup on this, man. Paul Masvidal and Sean Reinhart from Cynic on here before they released Focus. This is a fantastic death metal album. It's not like a death metal album that you would expect if you're not a death metal listener. Just awesome. I think it's got the two best opening tracks of any death metal release of all time. It's got Flattering of Emotions, the opening track, and Suicide Machine, track number 2. Oh, getting goosebumps, man. I love those songs, and they're just killer openings to this album. Lack of Comprehension's right in the smack in the middle there. There's 8 songs on it, but I think this is a timeless album. It's been reissued, been remastered. This is like a 1991 version of it. I was really happy to find this because I've never had a copy of this. I've had Symbolic and a couple of their older ones, and the last album that they did, what was it called? I can't remember, but that was a really good album too. And then Chuck died, and it was just like, oh. Chuck dying, to me, at such a young age, he was only in his early 30s. To me, it's like Bob Marley dying, John Lennon dying, just those ones that died really young. Even Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, just the people, the really just ultra talented and ultra like boom people dying young. You just wonder like how would the world have changed if they had kept living like Bob Marley, John Lennon. You know, it's hard to say. You can speculate all you want, but like I think if John Lennon and Bob Marley stayed alive, the world would be a different place as it is now. Jimi Hendrix, that kind of thing. You see these lives cut short, and you're just like, yeah, how would the world have been different had these people survived and kept on releasing and stuff like that? And I think the same about Chuck, because Chuck was like, even towards the end, he was already changing. He was doing another band outside of Death, which they released one album, which is kind of hard to find, but it was kind of going in different directions then. And I'm just like, man, if only he'd like lived, like where would we all be now? You know, would metal be this unifying force somehow? You know, I mean, it already is. Metal is so cool. Metal, like the community, the music, it's just it's great. It's great. I will never not love heavy metal. But yeah, Death, Human, 1991, fantastic album. If you haven't got it, go get it. So yeah, that's Deep Dive of 5 from today. That's the 5 I looked at. I'll take some photos, put them up. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll leave you alone now.